What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Final Pick Podcast. I'm your host, Zachary. I'm here with my co-host inside of me.
What's up, guys? It's Van.
And then below me.
What's going on? It's Danny.
And we are back. It is the end of week 2 of the NFL season. So we got to go ahead and review some of these games. Week 2 was pretty eventful. We had some ejections this past week, some more upsets. Not a lot of fantasy relevant weeks, I'll say. Fantasy's been very low scoring so far this year, but that's besides the point. But what?
Week 2 was low scoring?
For fantasy, for usual, it's been fairly low scoring.
That's weird because I lost with 150 this week in my office league.
Yeah, 150 is not very, very high scoring. It's a good score, but not very high.
What'd you drop this week, Zach?
I have no idea if I'm being honest with you.
Promise it wasn't 150.
It probably wasn't. But we do have week 2 games, and we don't have to waste too much time. Let's jump right into it. So we had Thursday Night Football, which is a pretty fun game. We had the Kansas City Chiefs going against the LA Chargers. There was no Keenan Allen for the Chargers, and we did see Justin Herbert take a pretty bad hit. He ended up playing through the game. I don't know how, based off how he tried to throw away the ball in that 1 third down, but he stuck it out. And also, play later made one of the best throws of the season so far. Any thoughts on the past Thursday Night Football game?
It was fucking annoying that it was only on Amazon. That was a little confusing for NFL fans all around. I really want to see a statistic on how many people signed up for the 7-day free trial that night.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to see. But as far as the game goes, Chargers played better, point blank period. The Chargers should have won that game. I don't care what you say. At the end of the day, it came down to the one bad pass Herbert made was the pick 6 from their own 1. He made Gerald Everett come back in. It was kind of an obvious move. Why would you tell somebody come back in for one play? The Chiefs see that. That looks suspicious as hell. And then comes back in for that play. Usually most NFL quarterbacks use that as a decoy, right? Threw it right at him, and it was underthrown and behind him. That was just a bad play. That's why they lost the game. You can't make mistakes like that. But as far as who played better, I think the Chargers played way better than the Chiefs that night.
The Chargers, to me, through 2 weeks, just have not been as impressive to me as I thought they would be coming in. Now, I'm not going to say I was the highest on Chiefs just in general coming in, but, mistakes like that is kind of something that's always holding back the Chargers, like last season. They're going to make those small boneheaded plays. I don't know if it's kind of a coaching thing. Maybe it's still the fact they have a young quarterback, but they're going to make those small boneheaded plays that's going to cost them games like this. It's kind of part of the aggressive mindset. I think they were probably the better team, but Kansas City has the best QB in football, great head coach. They're not going to make the same mistakes that the Chargers made last week. The Chargers, they still have their fair share of injuries. Obviously, Herbert did take that big hit. He was without Keenan Allen. I believe they had a couple injuries as well. I can't think of the top of my head. So they do.
Their O-line went down a lot. Corey Linsley and their right tackle, I believe. I can't think of his name, but he got hurt too.
Oh, I want to say Zion Johnson's still pretty good so far.
Whoo! He made Chris Jones switch sides, bro.
Yeah.
He made Chris Jones completely switch sides because he was sick of him. And then after that, Matt Filer got fucking dominated by him. Zion Johnson is good. I knew he was going to be good, but this is not like that. He's crazy.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. So, and also Trent McDuffie got injured in this game, right? I believe he went out with injury during the game.
I think it was early. I don't remember seeing it, but yeah, I remember they put him on.
But the guy got the pick 6, Jalen Watson, right?
Came and replaced him.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good that game also, not just with the pick 6. So it's going to be interesting, young cornerback room over there. But what do you think about the game, Danny?
Honestly, I didn't expect nothing less than Mahomes dominating like he did. My MVP prediction. So far, it's working out. Right now, I think Mahomes is winning the MVP conversation. And I do believe, though, if they had Keenan Allen, they probably win the game by 10 points, honestly. Because they're just a better team, right? And a guy like Keenan Allen changes the aspect of their game plan and their offense entirely. Missing out on Keenan Allen forced a guy like Mike Williams, who stepped up huge to do it. And my God, he was making highlight play after highlight play. Let's not forget about that. No one could guard him, honestly. He looked like the best receiver in the league at some point. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. But overall, it was a great game to watch. And like I said, though, Mahomes just took over. That's it.
And to touch on that, it's got to be kind of nice knowing that the Chargers could lose one of the receivers and just have the performance like that. It doesn't matter who's in the X role. either one of them could just go crazy.
Yeah.
Like Mike Williams is a beast, but he's kind of belittled by Keenan Allen. You don't really see much of him when Keenan's there, but when Keenan's not there, you just
blows up.
proved it. Anybody in that extra would go crazy. And to have two guys like that, I mean, they're also getting paid $20 million each season. But and another thing I wanted to touch on, Asante Samuel Jr., fucking beast.
He's that dog. Yep.
He's a beast. Every play he was in on it, but I don't like when you say Mahomes had another MVP game. He didn't. He had
a couple flags taken back here and there.
Two Asante Samuel drop picks and then 2 flags on bomb picks. Like he had 3 or 4 picks that game that were called back off bullshit, in my opinion.
He didn't play bad.
Every time they needed Mahomes to step up, in my opinion, he did. When they needed him to score, he went down and did. He did what he was supposed to do.
Well, at the end of the day, Mahomes still did Mahomes shit. But I'm just saying, as far as the MVP conversation, that game did not help him. I don't care what you say. Like he had that one nice throw to who was the tight end? That burned down the middle. Was it Noah Gray or was it the third stringer?
It might have been Noah Gray. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, he had that one bomb of course, that's a Mahomes throw. That's what you expect.
Yeah.
But those he had a lot of bad throws that game that should have been picked.
The
like
Justin
at least
Watson
3 or 4.
That was a fantastic throw.
Beautiful.
It was.
All right, we can go on and move on to the next game. This one was a nice comeback win by the Joe Flacco-led Jets. They beat the Cleveland Browns at the end in the last 2 minutes. Right, it was a 2-score game with less than 2 minutes to go. They score a touchdown, get the onside kick, and score about 30 seconds to go.
Sounds familiar.
Joe Flacco's looked, somewhat decent. He's second in the league in passing yards, or third in the league in passing yards right now at the moment. Who knows? Maybe Zach Wilson has to worry about Joe Flacco.
Yo, hold up. Can we touch on this? The top 3 in passing yards right now?
Oh, yeah.
If I would have told you, guys, my bet, I put all my money that the top 3 passers are going to be Tua Tagovailoa, Carson Wentz at 2, and Joe Flacco at 3, you would have spit in my face.
100%.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's
and
ridiculous.
to touch on that game, Nick Chubb's untouchable. Let's just be honest. Nick Chubb, we've already talked about this. Top 3 running back in the league based off skill. He doesn't usually score touchdowns like that, so it was nice to see it. That Kareem Hunt wasn't just stealing all his fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just be honest. The Browns aren't very good. We'll touch on that, the week 3 predictions later. I think Brissett's ass. That's not a hot take. That's just what it is.
Yep.
And Amari Cooper is still Amari Cooper. That's what I pulled out of this game. The defense fell asleep at the end, but before that, they were locking the Jets down quite well. And Amari Cooper had a breakout game for the Browns this week.
That's one thing I wanted to touch on was Amari Cooper, though. Like, Amari Cooper's proving a point. Like, I had low expectations from him, especially from his quarterback play, but he actually performed to a great level. Sadly, they didn't pull out the win, but he was playing great. And then a guy, Garrett Wilson, he just came out of nowhere, 14 targets and just blew up. That was insane, in my opinion. That's the starting point of how the Jets came back, too. So.
Yeah. Corey Davis at 66-yard bombs would fuck them. They let him score so quick that which just completely messed up the whole rotation of it.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson is going to be an absolute stud. A bunch of receivers are already stepping up early, rookie receivers. Mm-hmm. It's great to see. And if Zach Wilson can be what I personally think he could be, this Jets offense is going to be very good for the future. You're going to have Zach Wilson. You're going to have Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, potentially. Maybe he might. I've heard that some teams might look to trade for him if they'll really trade him. You're going to have Garrett Wilson. You got Uzama there, Tyler Conklin, Breece Hall, and Michael Carter in that backfield. That looks so beautiful. Like they're really putting the skill players around Zach Wilson. The O-line could use some work.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Laken Tomlinson has been getting fucking bully rushed, and that's supposed to be their best O-lineman.
Van loves Laken Tomlinson, to tell you that. But I mean, the Jets, if Zach Wilson is healthy and performs at a high level, because obviously he is going to start when he's healthy. Mm-hmm. But the Jets can have a very high-scoring offense. Scored 31 this week. I could see them putting up 25-plus points per game when he comes back, just based off the skill talent around there.
Well, could I ask you something, though? If Joe Flacco keeps playing like this, do you start Zach Wilson?
I don't think you do.
I think the obvious answer is yes. But third in passing yards, not terrible touchdown to interception ratio, which is Flacco's main problem the last few years as a backup. I don't know. If they're winning games, you don't.
Yeah, I don't think so either. If they're winning, they just beat the Browns. They're not supposed to win that game. I don't think Zach Wilson.
The Browns aren't very good, though. Let's be honest.
But they're not. They weren't supposed to win that game.
They weren't.
They weren't.
if Flacco's playing like this, you can wait an extra week or two to put Zach Wilson until he's 110% healthy.
I agree.
But if he's healthy, you're playing him. He's your future. You're not wasting playing time for him to give how it's Joe Flacco.
I get that, and
You're not doing that.
I think that I remember them saying he might be there for week 1. I knew he wasn't going to be there for week 1.
No, he's not coming back to like week 4 or 5.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, let's just say week 5, right? If they're 3-1 or they're 2-2, I get it. You need to find out what you have in Zach Wilson because it's still a question mark. But if you're at a positive or an 0-0 record, I don't know. Like if Joe Flacco is playing like this, it's an actual thought.
It's not a thought in my mind. Zach Wilson is starting.
I think it is a thought. I really do.
I feel like they can just give him as much time as he wants to rest, and then that one game where Joe Flacco sucks, you can just have him on the sideline, like a Tua thing. They were just waiting for Fitzpatrick to suck one game, and the second it happened, like Tua, Fitzpatrick
was the opposite sometimes.
Because Fitzpatrick wasn't even sucking, and they put Tua in I think on the last drive of the game because they were up 20 on the Jets, and that's all they needed to see was one pass to Jakeem Grant to start him the next week. Like it was complete bullshit. So I agree with what you say. Zach Wilson probably will be the starter. But Joe Flacco is not going to let it happen. He already got his job robbed once, and you know how he felt about that. If he's playing good, he's going to compete for it. I'll tell you that much.
Was it against the Raiders that the Dolphins decided to bench Tua for Fitzpatrick for like a 2-minute drill or something like that?
No, that was every game. That was every fucking week. The Broncos game, the Raiders game. The second they saw that he couldn't throw 40 yards downfield, or they felt like he was just losing them the game, he'd get taken out. And every time they would leave him in the game, like the Cardinals game when we were getting our ass kicked, he's just a good comeback player. That's what it is. But Chan Gailey just wasn't it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending Tua. He was playing terrible, but I hate when that shit happens. You got to progress the young guy.
Tua is kind of statistically the most clutch QB over the past 2 years. Just saying.
That's what I'm saying. He's clutch.
Next up, we have Detroit getting their first win in the season against the Washington Commanders. The score is closer than the game really was. Detroit dominates the entire game. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is an absolute stud. With capital S, absolute stud. The guy's been on a tear at the beginning of the year. And I mean, hell, if he continues this type of play, he can march himself into the top 10 receiver conversation in the NFL, Like, this guy's playing out of his mind, especially with a QB like Jared Goff. Jared Goff's decent enough.
Playing well.
He's playing well, yes. And the entire offense playing well. We kind of talked about it when we were doing our season previews. Like, we like the offense around Jared Goff. It's just, how's Jared Goff going to be, or maybe the future QB? I mean, the entire offense just hitting all cylinders right now.
Yeah, and before we start talking about the Lions in the Washington game, I would like to say sorry to Amon-Ra St. Brown. It was one of my shitters. He was on the same list with A.J. Brown. That's the only two I've gotten wrong so far. But A.J. Brown took a step back last game, let's be honest. But Amon-Ra, keeping that foot on the pedal. The guy is looking like a beast, and I retract what I said about him before the season started.
Respect. That's respectful. Very respectful on a guy that is dominating. I was just about to say we needed to talk about that first, but good job on that.
Yeah, well, but about the game. It's kind of what exactly we expected, right? Like, don't get me wrong, we didn't expect Jared Goff and Carson Wentz to have a showdown out there. Because who expects that? But it seems like a quarterback year, let's be honest. And we kind of thought the Lions were going to win, but it was going to be a closer game. It's kind of the same thing. It's weird. You know what this week reminded me of? How the Lions played the Eagles last week. They were down by 2 scores or a score, and they were just fighting back every time. They weren't necessarily taking the lead like Washington. That wasn't necessarily taking the lead, but they were always fighting back to staying close. And it was like a shootout, which is exactly what you want for fantasy. Everybody in that game killed fantasy-wise for Washington and Detroit, but it was one of those games where Detroit kept their foot on the pedal, and Washington's offense tried to turn up at the end, but it was a little too late.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre Swift I was high on DeAndre Swift coming into the season. He's looked every bit of it. Hopefully he can stay healthy, because health has been really the main concern with him throughout his short career so far. But I mean, man, the Lions are one of the more fun teams to watch. And I mean, Washington, you kind of get what you expect. Carson Wentz. I kind of like the fit so far with him in Washington, but you're going to get some great throws, but you're going to get some kind of head scratchers. You never really know you're going to get on a play-to-play basis from him. But Jahan Dotson, I mean, we talked about Garrett Wilson. Jahan Dotson might be through 2 weeks. Actually, it looks like a top 2 receiver from this draft class for 2 weeks. But there's somebody that we'll probably get to later that's looked pretty damn good. But Jahan Dotson's looked like a stud. Curtis Samuel
Definitely not top 2.
Not top 2?
No. Garrett Drake London. It's pretty obvious.
Garrett didn't have the best week 1.
He did fine. He dropped 11 fantasy points.
Chris Olave is coming, by the way.
Chris Olave is looking great.
But yeah, Drake London's been the best, but we'll get to him then. But Jahan Dotson has looked like a stud. Curtis Samuel, he was a bit banged up last year, but he's kind of looked a bit like he did last year in Carolina. Terry McLaurin, we already know about Terry McLaurin. Gibson's looked decent, and I'm excited to hopefully see how Brian Robinson looks when he comes back. He practiced today on the field, which is pretty crazy.
I was just about to say, I think the biggest highlight for that team not only was seeing that video before the game of Brian Robinson, doing the drills and working out, and I was like, whoa, as an Antonio Gibson owner in one league, I was kind of scared. And now hearing that he's practicing now I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Like, he's coming. Like, he's going to at least take like 30% of the snaps, I think, when he comes back. I don't think it will be a split 50-50, but he's definitely taking some snaps.
Yeah, I mean, J.D. McKissic's also had some good games. Like, overall, the entire offense is eating, but I mean, Washington, they probably won't win too many games, but they'll be a team that's going to be just interesting to watch week to week. They still have some high levels of play and some low levels of play.
And Zach, while we're on the discussion of Lions, I think we need to go back and look at last week's podcast where I made 2 predictions, kind of bold, kind of not. I said Aiden Hutchinson would get his first sack, and I'm pretty sure I said I think he gets 2, which he got 3.
He got 3, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said that. I don't know if I said 2, but I guarantee I said something about Aiden Hutchinson getting his first sack. But
I'll be completely honest with you, I don't remember any bold prediction that I made last video. So, but
we need to look back at those because I'm pretty sure I hit one. You could make a clip out of that, but yeah, no, Aiden Hutchinson. Let's be honest, the sacks weren't beautiful. They kind of fell in his lap, but hey, they're sacks, right?
They're sacks.
They're sacks. That's all that matters. The stat sheet. That's all people look at that aren't Lions fans. So. No, but both of these teams are, I think, both in that mediocre range. None of them are going to be Super Bowl contenders, but none of them are going to be top 10 draft picks. But it was a good game. It was a good shootout, and it was definitely fun for fantasy watchers.
I wouldn't be surprised if Washington kind of contends for a top 10 pick. But I'm not saying that they're a guarantee, but they could. I mean, what's it called? 7-1 team, I think, was top 10 pick last year, So they could be there. But I think Detroit's going to be they're going to be a top 8 seed, I think, in the NFC this year.
I could agree with you. I think they're going to be one game out of the playoffs or in the wild card.
Yeah,
I agree.
I know the score was closer than the game really was, but I mean, you know what? We'll get to the team they played week 1 later, but that score was close at the end because I got some stuff to say about that team they played week 1 later. Maybe an interesting game between Tampa and New Orleans. We had some fighting in that game. Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans is always a treat to watch. Mike Evans ended up getting suspended a week due to his actions.
He deserves it.
He does. And, it was an ugly game. Tampa was able to pull through in the fourth quarter to win this one.
So my pullaways from this game were don't piss off Tom Brady. That's the dumbest shit you could do. Yep. Okay? The guy's proven it in the Super Bowl against Tyrann Mathieu. He's proven it for 20 years that don't shit talk him. You don't get anything out of it. And second of all, the Mike Evans thing. I get it. Marshawn Lattimore is annoying, probably. He probably talks a lot of stuff. He probably says some personal stuff. But a lot of NFL players do that. Mike Evans needs to stop taking his 6'5", 250-pound body and blindsiding people. It's the second time he's done it. And it's ridiculous, though. I'm being serious. Like, it's annoying. Like, he's done that twice now, and he's a big guy. Like, who blindsides people when you're the bigger person?
You're 6'6", damn near.
Yeah, 6'0", 250. Like, why are you fighting people why are you blindsiding people that are 6 foot? You want to fight them, but just don't blindside them when they're talking to somebody else. That's some bitch move, in my opinion.
Like my biggest thing on that whole situation is like this. Like, if you're going to confront somebody and I get it. He was trying to make a statement as far as showing that he protects his quarterback and he respects his brothers on his team. But there's a certain way of doing that. Like, you don't just blindside a grown man like that. Like, if you're going to step up, make sure you step up in front of him and be like, hey, that's my quarterback. Don't talk to him. Don't mess with him like that. And then you can altercations are never the best way to solve things. But if it ends up happening, it happens. You don't just blindside somebody like that. Hence why he got suspended. Yeah,
and you know what I find funny about that is this is the second time he's done that exact move on Marshawn Lattimore, and the first time he did it to Marshawn Lattimore's quarterback now for the Saints, Jameis Winston. Yeah. Like, dude, it all comes full circle. Marshawn Lattimore keeps that shit on the field from what I've heard, he talks a lot of shit, which whatever, a lot of DBs do. They're like that. And he's a good one, so he has the right to. Three catches, 60 yards in the fourth quarter for Mike Evans. Like, that's a decent game, but it's not what he usually does. He usually has a touchdown by then. But you can tell he was frustrated. And don't blindside somebody for talking shit. Like, you saw what Mike Evans said, like when the refs pulled him over to the side.
No, what did he say?
His mouth, he said, "That's fucking Tom Brady. What do you expect me to do?" Like,
So,
I get that. Defend your quarterback by all means. I completely am with that, but don't blindside a player, dude. Especially when that's way smaller than you. That's bullshit. But as far as the game goes, I'm sorry this got completely out of context, but that shit pissed me off. Brady looked shit to start the year. Let's be honest. He's going to be fine. So I'm not here saying Brady's going to be. Oh, he might be bad this year.
Tom Brady fell off eventually. He fell off. 45 years old.
Everybody's waiting for it, but he's not going to. Let's be honest. They're still 2-0. They've had some slow starts, but trust me, all it takes is that one game where they're down 14 or down 7, and Brady's going to start popping off and getting in rhythm, which I think could happen this week against the Packers. But Brady will be fine. I don't think that's something to worry about. But Buccaneers, they're exactly what we expected they were, that besides Brady's poor play. They're the top team in the NFC.
Who's Brady throwing to next week?
Me.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's pretty much going to have to throw 20 plus.
He's got Josh Allen's biggest fan, Cole Beasley.
I was going to say, they just got Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley. Is Julio going to be healthy?
Rashad Perriman, they'll be fine. And they're playing Green Bay, which is a tough defense, but on paper it is. But they're kind of looking shit on the field, but we'll get to that later. But
does Tampa Bay have the best defense in the NFL right now?
It got to be top 3, right?
I think you got to say they might have the best right now. Probably them or Buffalo.
Buffalo.
I'd say that's so scary, dude, because they have the top offense too. It's like Jesus Christ.
But I mean, but Tampa Bay's defense has been outstanding through 2 weeks. I mean,
because their head coach is defensive minded.
Yeah.
My thing is with Buffalo's defense, isn't Tre'Davious White out?
Tre'Davious White is out.
Exactly, and they've been dominating. Like, not dominating, they've been like crazy though. Like Tennessee's a bad team.
They've been dominating.
Yeah, but Tennessee, we all know wasn't going to be a good team this year. Their O-line's deteriorating. We're going to talk about them later, of course. But like the Bills' defense without White have been outstanding with Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer and those cats, and like that's the crazy part. They don't even have their best defender yet. It's crazy.
Let's not lock into the Bills yet.
That's all I can say. But I do want to say, because you did bring it up, Dane Jackson, right? The snake Dane Jackson. Hope he's doing all right. That was a scary hit. Yeah, to see that. It looks like it's going to be fine, but prayers out to him because that was scary. Just wanted to throw that there since I thought of that.
It's looking like he's fine. It looks like Micah Hyde's fine too. Also had a neck injury, but we'll talk about the Bills. This is the Saints Bucks.
Yeah,
Saints Bucks.
Very boring game. Probably the most boring game of the week. It is.
Well,
and the beginning was very boring.
The game was boring.
I think you went to one a little more boring, but listen. The Saints are going to be fine. They're going to be the second team in that division. It's very obvious. But it proved all our points. Buccaneers are still number 1 team in the NFC, probably. I have them over the Rams, to be completely honest.
Over the Rams?
You know what? There might be another team that could be in the conversation. We'll get to later. But you have any other thoughts on this game, Dan?
I mean, I mentioned it a little bit back a little bit ago. Chris Olave, I think he's showing up, and he's going to show everyone that Michael Thomas is there, but they have a great second receiver now. I mean,
they have Jarvis Landry too, bro. They're deep.
And they have Jarvis Landry, but I think he's going to show that he's the better version, and he's better than Jarvis Landry this year. And I give it 3 more weeks, if that, and then we're going to see a consistency out of Olave that we're going to like for sure.
I agree with you, but Zach, could I say something?
Go.
It's kind of looking nice. My comparison coming out of the draft, Danny, for Chris Olave was Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay.
And it's kind of coming on. I'm not going to lie. I watched both games highlights.
Yeah.
They
13 targets.
They look like each other, bro. I'm telling you. Chris Olave might be somebody to watch.
So this isn't actual yards, but does anybody have any idea how many air yards Olave had last week?
Air yards?
Air yards, yeah.
Define that for me. Can I buy a vowel?
So air yards, basically the amount of yards the ball's in the air until it gets to the receiver, right? So when he's targeted,
yep.
So the amount of yards the ball travels when he's targeted.
So like Tyreek Hill's air yards, for example, were insane. So what you're saying, like that? So
they probably were.
Jameis Winston's just chucks that bitch. So
he does.
Probably something out of this world.
Yeah.
He's really good at chucking it over his receiver's head to the other team.
but he had 365 air yards. So, I mean,
Jesus.
hypothetically, just think, I know Lavi had a lot of targets, but if he was somehow able to catch all those targets, included any yards to catch he could have had. Like, that's the type, like, obviously, air yards isn't actual yards, but he's having opportunities to be able to, get a lot of yardage and a lot of targets in this offense. He's going to be an absolute stud, just like all these other receivers. Like, they're already showing up early.
Yeah, well, I mean, top 12 pick. That's what you want to do. You want to feed them
yeah.
the ball. You want to find out what you have quick, and I think they're more than happy with what they're receiving right now.
For sure. Next up, we had the Giants, 2-0 Giants. They beat the Carolina Panthers. It's Matt Rule's final season. We all know this.
Yeah.
But Brian DeBall is having himself a nice start in New York.
Let me get on this game, man. I know Giants are winning right now, but damn if they aren't the fucking most boring team to watch, bro.
Yeah.
Like, they're the kicking field goals left and right, bro. Like, it's field goals. Like, and don't get me wrong, I know the Titans, but it looks like the Titans are very bad. They beat the Panthers this week, who are also probably bottom 7 team.
Yeah.
I want to see them play somebody, and they play the Cowboys this week. I don't know how that's going to work, but as far as that, the Giants, Saquon's back. We already talked about that last week. He still played decent this week. I don't hate on what he did. Kenny Golladay packed his shit and left the locker room before media. But besides that, I think they have the right pieces as far as building a team up. I would not expect the Giants to get more than 7 wins this year. I'm being completely honest, even with the 2 they have now. I just don't think they're very good, but I do think they do have the right coach. I do think that the Andrew Thomas is playing amazing, and so is Evan Neal. He had a great week 2 game. So they got the O-line pieces they've been looking for. I think they're just a QB, which is a big part, a QB and a couple DBs away. They have Xavier McKinney and they have Adoree Jackson, which is basically just a name. He's not very great.
But I thought Julian Love had a good game also.
Julian Love. Well, yeah, he's always been there and been a rotational guy. So, I mean, good for him. But, like, they need some big names in the DB group, and they need a big name at quarterback, and I think they could be deadly. Like, they have some pieces. They have some shining pieces, and they're just missing a few of the main ones, and I think they could actually be a contender for the playoffs.
And please play Kadarius Toney a bit more.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney needs some more action, too. I mean, my takeaway on the game as well is, like, the fact that Saquon didn't dominate as much as he did week 1 and they still came out with the win was pretty surprising to me. Like, Carolina is a bad team, though, in my opinion. And even though they play the Cowboys next week, it's like you're playing against Cooper Rush, So even if the Giants win that game, let's say, I still don't know where I can rank them, It's like a weird bar with the Giants right now. I don't know if it's because the teams they're playing that they're winning, or are they actually like a decent team that can compete and, they're not beating the Eagles. Eagles, I believe, are winning that division. But besides that, could they compete for the 2nd seed in that division? Maybe make the wild card. Like, it's weird toss up right now because they could start out 3-0, 100% with Cooper Rush at quarterback next week. So that's with the Giants this week, though. Beating the Panthers was a great thing. And I think, if they continue to ride Saquon Barkley's back, they'll win a lot more games. So
as long as Saquon is able to, go a whole 17 games, that is. Because we know his injury history hasn't been.
No, yeah, he's just
best athlete.
He looks good though. He looks good and healthy. He looks like he's making all the right cuts. He looks smooth.
And hopefully it is. I think Brian DeBall is definitely one, at least top 2 head coach hire this year through 2 games. We will probably get to the other great head coaching hire soon. But Giants look good, and we'll see how far they go so far this year.
I think. I mean, I haven't looked at their schedule. I heard it's pretty cake, but I would based off how don't interrupt me. based on like just how they have been playing, I can't see more than 7 wins, honestly.
I know the Eagles' schedule is pretty easy, and that means that the other NFC East teams are going to have somewhat similar schedules.
Yeah, I agree. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think they're definitely not going to win that division. I don't care what Giants fans are saying. I know they're going crazy right now, 2-0. They're one of the 5 undefeated teams. Calm down, okay? Calm down.
All right, can we talk about how Danny right now is on fantasy?
Yeah, I am too. I'm not going to lie. The kid I'm playing against, I don't have a defense yet, and he has 3 defenses on his roster. You want to see some bullshit?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm a little locked in right now, too, because fantasy and everything now, and I'm still locked in with these games, though.
Isn't that fucking wild?
Yeah, I have
All
two
right, all right.
defensive.
What's the next game?
Sorry.
All right, next
Next game,
up,
next
we
game.
got. I mean, this was a boring game. We had New England versus Pittsburgh. New England won this one
The
by 3
defensive
points.
battle.
I feel like I pretty much already reviewed this game last week. I think I pretty much called this game last
We
week.
both did, and I switched my pick to the Patriots the morning of.
Oh, it's just not.
No, I woke up. I woke up. I'm not even kidding, Zach, and I'm not. I swear to God, this is not bullshit. I woke up Sunday morning, and I don't know why the Dolphins are playing the Ravens. That's supposed to be a fun game. I'm a Dolphins fan. I woke up and I'm like, Belichick's gonna kick Tomlin's ass out of nowhere in my head, and I fucking switched my pick, and I was right. Like, I think maybe you had something to say about it that changed my mind, but it was like 4 days before that, so I don't know why it would pop up in my head now. But randomly that morning, I woke up and I felt like the Patriots were gonna win that shit.
It's the first time I heard about it, and the Patriots won. But
Yeah.
but I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it.
No, you could ask Danny. He's in my pick'em leagues.
No,
you're
yeah,
in the thing too. I picked the Patriots in the in the picks for us.
I chose Pittsburgh in that game too, and I was surprised that they ended up losing. I don't know. It just came down to coaching pretty much. A team like the Patriots, as much as they win these certain games, like these close games, that just comes down to experience with Belichick.
100%.
The one thing with the Patriots is if you're going to beat them, make sure you're pretty much blowing them out. Because if you're not, and it's a nail biter, more times than not, Belichick's going to come up with a scheme to come up clutch. Like if you give him the ball the last 2 minutes of the game, and he needs one drive to score. He's probably going to get at least 3. He's going to score.
Yes.
So.
Well, could I say the main factor I've noticed about the Steelers?
Mm-hmm.
If they play a high-powered team, they have a better chance at winning. And I don't know why. They beat the Bills last year, week 1. Who'd they beat week 1 this year? The Bengals, who are supposed to be crazy high-powered coming off a Super Bowl run.
Yep.
They're good against high-powered teams because they can get the pass rush there quick. When you're playing Mac Jones and the Patriots, who do dink and dunk, and don't take any time, they take 1.2 seconds to throw a 5-yard pass, they do terrible against them. They do terrible against slow teams, but they do great against amazing teams because amazing teams want to get deep, and they don't have time to get deep against Highsmith, Watt, and Cameron Hayward. Like they don't have time for it. So I've noticed that once they're playing the more explosive teams, they're a little closer, and they usually win those games unless it's like the Chiefs or something like that, which are obvious picks.
Yeah.
But when they're playing those high-powered teams that love pushing the ball downfield, they usually do great against them. When they play those slow intermediate teams that just want to get the first down every play, and their goal is the first down, not the end zone, they lose to them every time. They're not a patient football team, and the offense is shit. We don't have to talk about that. The Steelers' offense is terrible. We knew that was going to happen. Bottom 4 O-line, Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, decent weapons as receivers, but you can't really get it to them. So I think the reason why they lost is because they're not patient. They're not a patient football team.
Yep.
They don't play good against those intermediate teams that just want the first down. That's their goal every play.
Yeah, they do better against more gunslinger type guys. They got an aggressive defense. They got Micah Fitzpatrick back there. It's a ball hawk, And I mean, the one thing with Trubisky is I feel like the Steelers receivers, they got some good receivers. Deontay obviously can create separation, but Chase Claypool, George Pickens, they're not really creating separation. They're more, they're going to, yeah, exactly. They're more those type of receivers. Trubisky's a guy that's, he's probably going to see a receiver open. He's not going to really try the one-on-one shots like that. So that could be a thing. Obviously, got Najee. Najee's not the best running back, but, you're going to give him his touches. Mm-hmm. So they got the weapons there, but, they're going to be more of a game manager type thing. And I will say, you guys kind of said the thing about Belichick experience. Yes, obviously he has experience, but the team that has probably the coach with the most experience after Belichick might be the Steelers. So I don't know if I necessarily say an experience coach would be a reason for the loss, but at the end of the day, Belichick is the greatest head coach in NFL history.
It's weird you said you guys there like I said that.
No, yeah, I said
it. I know why you said that.
Nah, but dude, it's completely true. They play those slow intermediate teams that their goal is to get the first down. They suck.
Yep.
You want the guys that want to force it and get to the end zone. They're amazing against them for some reason. So never count the Steelers out when they're playing amazing teams and when they're playing those smart teams. And there's no smarter team than Belichick's Patriots. Let's be honest. They're going to lose those games.
You got anything else, Danny?
No, I mean, like I said, it was just I think the Steelers folded as well, and their offense needs a rebuild as far as building the O line. They obviously have to find out who their quarterback is. Kenny Pickett, I guess you should start trying out. I don't know why Mitchell Trubisky was the starter. So that's my take on them. I think they definitely need to throw Pickett in the fire, see what he's going to do, and even if they lose, you're expecting to lose as is, so at least get them some experience.
Here's the thing, though. They're not expecting to lose as is. Tomlin thinks this is a Super Bowl roster. That's just how he thinks every year. And he's not going to tank for no reason. They don't want Kenny Pickett playing this year. He said that. And I think Mason Rudolph's his backup for Trubisky. Like, I think they're trying to win now, and they want Pickett to sit. So as far as Pickett playing, I don't think it will. Should it? Fuck yeah. From like a third-person view, from another team's fan base view, fuck yeah. Start Kenny Pickett. You got nothing to lose.
Mhm.
But that's not Tomlin's headset. That's not what he's thinking. That's not what he's thinking. He's trying to win every game. So as far as Pickett, I don't think it will happen. But as a Dolphins fan, as a Colts fan, you're probably thinking, why not? You know what I mean? But Tomlin's trying to win. They believe they could win, so it's probably not going to happen.
Yep. All right. Next game. I really don't have much of anything to say about this. Colts at Jacksonville, 24-0 shutout. Anybody not named Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, or Grover Stewart, gotta step it up. And I got nothing else to say about it.
Well, no, talk about it because you were at the game and you see more.
Yeah.
Like, I want to hear what your actual thoughts
What was
were.
the
about
on-the-field
game.
experience?
What's your thoughts about the Jaguars and the Colts? Honestly, I'm not trying to fuck with you.
All right. Well, Colts O-line is a disaster right now.
Matt Pryor's terrible.
Anybody not named Quentin Nelson's terrible.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest, like there's not blocking at all. Like you see plays where Matt Ryan takes a snap, he doesn't have a second to wait for a receiver to get open. Now, to be fair, Pittman and Pierce were out, top two receivers on the team. But the thing is, you're asking to bring receivers in. You're hearing, Paris Campbell's having a good camp. Pierce is having a good camp. You also know we have Pittman. Campbell ain't show nothing this game after having such a great camp. You got to get receivers in so you're not in this situation because Ashton Doolin was the number one receiver. Mike Strachan had a nice catch. Patman had a drop. No receivers. You have Malik Cox who can't get 2 feet in the back of the end zone. So you have no receivers at all. O-line ain't helping at all. Given Jonathan Taylor 9 carries in this game, and then the defense, it's just they're just letting you take every single dink and dunk. You're not the pass rush can't get there. And corners are playing so far back. Linebackers don't know what they're doing in coverage. It's a big coaching thing right now. And also the players aren't producing, especially the big money players. Braden Smith's playing awful. Ryan Kelly isn't playing well. DeForest Buckner has been non-existent, like so on and so forth.
So I have 2 questions about this game. My points are the Jaguars going to win this division?
Who knows?
Like, they might, honestly, because the Titans look great. Don't get me wrong. They played some decent teams. They played a decent team, but they look great as shit. They look shit. They look bad. They look bad. I don't know. I can't even say how bad. They just look like they just want a draft pick, and that makes no sense. But they look bad. And my second thing is Jonathan Taylor. I don't care if you're losing early. 9 attempts is not enough.
Nope.
For Jonathan Taylor. You gave up on the run early, which is just a bad idea, knowing you have Paris Campbell at wide receiver 1. A bad idea. You don't have the best running back in football, a decent O-line. They stopped running. Did he get injured, or am I missing something?
He didn't get injured, but I also want to say Naeem Hines is also not on my shit list. He also only had 15 snaps for some reason when he should have, played more, especially without the receivers. So yeah.
Well, hold up. Sorry, Danny.
No,
I think what happened with Reich this game is he got misplaced. Like they ran 9 balls with Jonathan fucking Taylor. That was what, like 60% of their 70% of their offense last year?
Yep.
Like, what are you doing? That's stupid. You go down 14 early and you just stop running. You have no receivers. Matt Ryan's not going to create a play for you. He's there to get the ball to the open guys, and they don't have any open guys. You guys gave up, and that's why you guys got your ass kicked. Point blank, period.
I think a lot of that to do is, you don't have receivers. Why wouldn't you just go ahead, press on the outside? Paris Campbell, Ashton Doolin, are you really worried about them being pressed, Nope. So you're going to put 10 in the box. You should still give Jonathan Taylor his best running back in the league. But, that's what the game plan was. And I do also want to give Jacksonville their credit, the edge rushing duo. They had 5 sacks in the game. Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen is a monster. And Trevor Lawrence has looked pretty decent. Obviously, he's going to he's going to be a gunslinger, right? He's going to be a gunslinger. So he's going to make a couple mistakes here and there like he did last week against Washington. But I mean, this game, the Colts defense, like I said, they're going to give you the short stuff, and he's patient. Kind of like what you mentioned earlier, Van, with who was it? You're saying with the Steelers that they kind of get beat on defense.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence was being patient. He was taking the short stuff. He did have 2 plays that he could have gotten picked, one by Gilmore, one by Julian Blackman in the game. But besides those 2 throws, I think he completed like 80% of his throws just by thinking and dunking the entire time. Nothing too crazy going past 10 yards, but just taking what the defense gave him.
Yeah. Well, one more thing before Danny gets into it. Quick thing. I'm about 3 games away from having to make an apology TikTok for Christian Kirk. Like, I called him overpaid, and don't get me wrong, you don't pay a guy $18 million and fuck up the whole receiver market for Christian Kirk. Still, you don't do it. But he looks like the number 1 guy there. He's looking good. What were you going to say about the game, Danny?
So my thing is this: I'm glad that you mentioned the minimal amount of attempts that Jonathan Taylor had.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous that the best running back in football is getting that many attempts. And like going back to Zach's point, that's a coaching problem. I don't think this coaching staff understands like what their game plan needs to be and what they want it to be. Right? You get a guy like Matt Ryan to come in for the Colts, and now they're expecting to fling the ball out and try to compete with teams like the Chiefs with throwing consistently. No, you stick to your game plan, which is Jonathan Taylor's getting that ball. I don't care how bad your O-line's been playing. The more attempts you give Jonathan Taylor and that O-line to run block, the better they're going to get and the more synergy they're going to have like last year. Last year, they were perfectly fine. All of a sudden, you're telling me one offseason is going to change the script for everything? Right now, it is. You know why? Because they're still trying to figure out what new thing they want to do. Why are you trying to change stuff? Stick to Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines is a great RB2. It's like the Browns system. Obviously, they have Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, but the Browns understand their identity as an offense.
And they should be 2-0.
And they should be 2-0, exactly. And yes, you pick up a guy like Cooper, that's like the Pittman of the offense for the Colts, for example. I think you need to start doing what the Browns are doing, and that's simply feeding Chubb and bringing Hunt in as well. You lean on Jonathan Taylor for that offense right now. You don't worry about feeding Pittman. Pittman's going to get his open routes. Matt Ryan's going to throw a couple times, but you need to at least have 20 attempts with Jonathan Taylor for sure.
And not only 9 attempts, bro, the man had 1 target. The man got the ball 10 times in that whole game. And let me say this though, that Colts defense is different without Shaq Leonard. Let me tell you that right now. He is that you could tell it's just different. Yep. Like you could tell he just puts everybody in place.
He's heart and soul of that defense. And then also the thing is like Nyheim Hines had 15 snaps. I feel like half of those were in the first drive. The Colts offense was actually moving the ball. Then there was a third.
Were they running to John Taylor?
No, John Taylor only had 5 carries for 4 yards in the first half. He wasn't being effective in the first half. But Nyheim Hines had like 3 or 4 catches in that first drive, and then he barely saw the field afterwards. Put him in the slot. He's probably your best receiving option in the game.
To be honest, he is.
I mean, so I don't know. They got to fix it because, personally, as a Colts fan, I'm tired of always not being able to come out strong week 1, no matter who you're playing against. And then, like Jacksonville, out of their last 11 wins, 6 of them have been against Colts.
Jesus
think about that for a second. All those wins have been at home for Jacksonville. Maybe one of those games on the road, but that's a coaching problem at the end of the day. Like Jacksonville, like that's unacceptable at the end of the day.
It's complete bullshit. It's complete bullshit.
I think we gave that topic way too much time.
Yeah, we did.
And one more thing, real quick. My Trevor Lawrence prediction is coming true as well. Remember that. Continue though.
We could talk about a more entertaining game. I'm sure you guys want to talk about. The Dolphins, huge comeback win against Baltimore.
Hell yeah.
Have Tua proven to be the best quarterback. Let's not get that far. But Tua had a really good game. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle were crazy. And also Lamar had a great game himself. So,
I'm going to try to make it quick. I'm going to start off with this. That's all I got to say, boy. It's slime time. Tua player of the week, baby. But let me
MVP. It's like Trubisky.
He is in that conversation right now. It's not bullshit. He is. Don't get me wrong.
I said MVP.
Oh, yeah, Nickelodeon. Fucking funny. But listen, I think we were getting our shit tossed the first game. But I'm not out of this game. I'm not saying Tua's going to be a beast. I'm not hopping on the Tua. I love Tua. I believe in him to be a franchise guy. I'm not doing it. I need to see a few more games. But what I will take away from this game is McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
McDaniel's a fucking genius. I don't care what anybody says. The guy gets people open. And another thing is Tyreek is unfucking guardable.
Yep.
They knew what was happening. You're down 21. What's going to happen? Maybe a bomb, maybe a quick score, maybe. And you couldn't guard him. There was no one within 20 yards of the guy. The Dolphins defense did not show up that game. They were planning on coming in there, doing that cover zero bullshit blitz, and having Lamar get flustered and throw the ball away or make mistakes. You can't do that with a guy with Harbaugh. You can't do that with Harbaugh. You can't do that with the Baltimore offense. They're gonna take that loss, which was embarrassing last year, and adjust to that, which they did. Every one of their touchdowns was either a kick return or a 75-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. It took them one play because we were fucking blitzing them. The defense was terrible, and we adjusted that in the fourth quarter, and we started making those clutch stops. But the thing I would take out of this is Lamar's probably my favorite MVP candidate. He looks like the real fucking deal. They didn't lose the game because of Lamar. They lost the game because they kind of sold at the end. They lost the game because of the DBs, let's be honest. And that's the one room you wouldn't really think they would sell. Marcus Williams looks like the number one top 3 safety in the league right now. Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters' first game back. You wouldn't expect this from him, but they were terrible. And it looks like Kyle Hamilton might be a box fucking linebacker, Zach. Like I said, like they look bad in the DB, and they have Chuck Clark. Like they're deep, and I don't know what happened.
Their entire defense looked pretty bad. Even the pass rush, like
Yeah.
I expected big things from the defense.
I credit the pass rush more to the McDaniel adjustments in the O-line play. Like the O-line played amazing. They would pick up blitzes this game. It was more quick intermediate shit to get the ball out of Tua's hands, but it was accounted for.
They were blocking like 7 a lot or 6 a lot, the Dolphins, which is smart because the O-line isn't necessarily the best, but when you're blocking 6 or 7 against 4-3,
Yeah. Well, no, they were blitzing linebackers a lot. They were getting those the A gaps a lot.
I know I saw a lot of 3-man rushes throughout the game.
Yeah, towards the end because they're playing the defense. They're thinking, let's stop Tyreek and Waddle. They can't score soon. They won't win the game. Still did it. I don't know how, but we did. Credit that to McDaniel and the fucking 99 speed receivers we have on our team. Mm-hmm. But let's just be honest. Seeing the Dolphins in the top 5 power rankings makes me very, very happy. I've never thought of that in my life, but I get to see it, and I'm very happy. I'm not getting too overhyped. We got the fucking Bills this week, but the Dolphins won a game they should not have, point blank period, but we did. And I credit that to McDaniel, and I credit that to the adjustments throughout the whole game.
I need to see the all 22 of that second Tyreek Hill touchdown because when you're just watching it, when they're move the camera, it literally looks like the man teleports. Like I need to see the all 22 of that.
Well, I saw that. I watched it frame by frame. So what happened was Tyreek was running a bomb, and so it was like third and 6, 3rd and 7. And
something like that.
That rookie Alabama corner was biting on the outside, thinking he was just going to run an out, try to get the first. So Tyreek just did a little one step to the left and cut up field, and the guy completely fucking froze, and there was no safety help. I don't know how you have no safety help on fucking Tyreek Hill. But
I saw Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams, or I think it was, arguing each other. So I think one of them messed up the coverage. Don't know who.
Kyle Hamilton.
Was it?
Yep.
You know for sure, or you're just guessing?
No, it was Kyle Hamilton. I saw some stat after the game, like Kyle Hamilton only gave up like 30 passing yards in his zones, which is complete bullshit. The first one, actually, maybe I was wrong. I think the first one where it was over Marcus Peters, I think that one was Kyle Hamilton. I think the second one was Marcus Williams. That was a free safety spot. But it was definitely some confusion. And Hamilton, like, I don't care what the stats say, he looked bad. Like, he was just not in his zones. You could just tell he was out of his game.
All right, what you got on the standing? Anything else?
All right. What I'll say is this. I want everyone to know right now, I am a huge fan of the Miami Dolphins. But there's one thing that everyone that knows about me knows, that I am a very, strict fan, right? I don't ever jump to conclusions or ever go over the hype because I'm tough on my teams, right? So let me say this. For the first time in my Dolphins, franchise of being a fan, I'm confident in saying that my quarterback might be good enough to be able to get us a playoff win, right? To get us to a playoff win for the first time in God knows how long.
In our lives.
In our entire lives, it might be the only time we have a chance. And I'll be the first to admit that I was never like a Tua believer. I'm still not saying we're winning it all, right? So let me just clarify that. My point is
We're
this:
not.
we have a chance now. We have a chance to make the playoffs and at least prove to people that we can compete with teams like the Bills. Of course, we go from Bill Belichick to fucking the Buffalo Bills now all of a sudden. That's our luck, in our division. But we're still fighting, competing. As good as the team the Bills are, our offense is as dominant, if not more, with Tyreek Hill and Waddle, bro. And with the weeks going on and on, all I see is improvements, and more open plays for like Hill and Waddle. It's just disgusting. First half, I was shitting myself. I'm like, bro, it's over every time we play bad against Baltimore because we always do. And all of a sudden, we just flipped the switch and we showed every team in the NFL that no matter how down we are, we're gonna fight. We're gonna be dogs. Like no matter what, you're gonna have to make sure you close us out. Don't take us lightly. So.
What I want to take out of Danny's comment is I won't say we're better, more explosive than the Bills yet. I won't say it yet.
We're getting
But
there.
the reason why I'm saying that is because if the Dolphins would have played that fourth quarter through all 4 quarters, 100% would agree with you on that shit. 3 quarters, we were kind of dull, bro. We were just taking what was there, and then we started unleashing the beast, which the Ravens fell asleep on. You're down. You're up 21. What do you think's gonna happen? They just completely fucked the game for themselves. But if we could play all 4 quarters like that fourth quarter, I will agree with you on that. But as of right now, Bills are probably best at fucking every stat, everything. Best offense, best defense, and it's fucking scary. But let me tell you this right now: if the fucking Dolphins go and beat the Bills this weekend, you're not gonna fucking hear the end of it. You're not gonna hear the end of it from not just me, from all these fucking Dolphins fans on Twitter. I'm sure you guys know about them. They're ruthless. You won't hear the end of it if we beat the fucking Buffalo Bills. You won't.
I will say this though. Baltimore definitely got chances to do more than they did. They had the goal line stand. Dolphins the goal line stand. Was it in the first quarter, second quarter?
That was their second drive of the game.
Second drive. Just have to think. It was a 4th and goal. If Lamar punches in right there, the comeback doesn't happen. They had another chance. I think in either the second quarter or third quarter. I don't remember the exact play that they got. I remember they had another chance to. It wasn't at the goal line.
That was when we scored 21. And Lamar had a 4th and 1, and for some fucking reason they have Patrick Ricard and Lamar Jackson, but what they do is a shotgun quarterback run, which blew my fucking mind, but that's what they did. And we do really well with stands, to be honest. Like as far as a normal run game, we're not the best towards the outside and shit, but once you run right into our gaps, we have those big guys that get the run stops. So I don't understand why these teams are going for that in 4th and 1 in these big situations. It doesn't really work for them ever, but they did it. And thank you, John Harbaugh. I mean, if it wasn't for the fucking play calling on the defensive side and the boneheaded plays, like that Isaiah Likely catch that he dropped, that would have won them the game. The penalty,
I think that was the other play I was thinking of.
The penalty they called on us got taken back. So if they would have caught that, it would have been 30 yards and they would have ran the clock. Like they just completely made some boneheaded moves, and that's why they lost. They deserve that L for how they played in that fourth quarter. But as far as those first 3 quarters, they deserve to kick our fucking ass.
All right, a lot of talk there. Let's move on to Rams Falcons. Atlanta saw a score that they know way too well of. They were down 23 in this game, but they nearly pulled off the comeback against the defending champs. They were down 23, but I mean, I'll say this: I wasn't watching the game. I was listening to it live. I was driving home, and I mean, I'm just listening to it like this game seems crazy. But there's a guy that plays corner. We're number 5 on the Rams, and he kind of called game. He got the game-winning interception, but I gotta say, Drake London is a stud. He's an absolute stud. And also the Falcons, you need to use Kyle Pitts more. You need just point blank.
Oh my god!
But yeah. I will say, I did kind of call Kyle Pitts not being used as much. I was not very high on him, at least fantasy terms. You can count to that. But I mean, you got to get him the ball. He was a special talent coming out. But Drake London looks like a stud. And the Falcons have just been surprising. They've been a lot better than I think we all probably could have expected.
To say they've been a lot better than we expected, I don't necessarily agree. I thought they were going to be that team that would stay in games, not win a bunch, which they did. I just the Rams game, they weren't really in. They got some bullshit going their way. Let's be honest, they were getting blown the fuck out. I'm pretty sure they got a blocked punt. They got a bad Cooper Kupp fumble. They got very lucky to make that game look way closer to the third person's eye. But as far as the Rams, I know the NFC is weak, but the Rams just don't look great to me. Like, I'm not watching them like, oh, this team's elite. Like, they look a little sluggish. I guess that's the word. Aaron Donald's not getting the pressure he usually does. He's doing his thing, I guess, but he's not Aaron Donald of last year. Stafford looks like he's taking a step down. It just looks like a more sluggish team. And the Falcons are kind of exactly what I expected. I didn't like. I expect them to be better than what people thought, like in sense of keeping games close. But as far as at the end of the day, they're 0-2. It doesn't matter. You're 0-2. That's what the Falcons are. But yeah, as far as Drake London, Mike Evans 2.0, but he just might not blindside people for fun.
We'll have to wait and see.
Let's see him play the Saints. We'll see.
Oh, here he played Saints. So I mean,
oh yeah, no fights. So he's already off to a better start.
I'll just say real quick on a quick take on it. It's like I don't know, like the situation with the Rams, like it's the one thing I've been wrong about right now. You know, the two people I've been right about is Ramsey and Cup being hungry more than ever, especially Cup. He's been dogging it, but it seems like the Rams just like they're not motivated anymore, if you would. Like it doesn't seem like they're hungry for that win because they've just won. Like Matthew Stafford seems like a guy that's just nonchalant now. Like he's okay with the results of whatever happens. Last year they were just hungry all the time. You've seen the fire. Stafford had something to prove that hey, I can be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. It was my franchise that was the problem, and now it just seems like when you lose a guy like Von Miller too, that's changing the effect of Aaron Donald, like you mentioned. Like Aaron Donald, like he's obviously the best defender in the league. But when you take tension like Von Miller off of that defense, now it enables the offensive line that they play against to go, okay, we can simply target Aaron Donald and almost neutralize him, and we can surpass their D line. So
I like that thought actually. Like,
what?
Maybe they took their foot off the gas pedal because they have that ring now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Kupp and Ramsey are the only two right now that have shown like, no, I'm still hungry.
I don't know about that. Ramsey's been getting fucking cooked left and right. I didn't watch the full Falcons game, but Drake London did very good, and he's the number one receiver. I don't know what he did against Ramsey, but
he didn't have a great game week 1, obviously, but week 2 he's much better.
He was better. Okay, so I don't know. So I'm guessing he wasn't guarding Drake London the whole game, but he hadn't had the best start. Why is Jalen Ramsey going to the fucking media and say, I love when you count me out? Like he didn't just pick off the fucking Falcons.
I remember him saying something like, if you guys thought that was my worst game ever, I'm flattered because I did not play bad.
Yeah, he's losing it a little bit. But I would say, I don't know who's counting him out. Going into the season, I think everybody had him as CB1. Like, what is he talking about? You picked off the Falcons, which don't get me wrong, that pick was fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's the Falcons. I mean, he got cooked last week and then had one pick against the Falcons. Don't count me. I mean, players talk. That's what it is. Like, that's how you got to feel about yourself. I get it, but like, it's kind of like a bad scenario for him.
Yeah, the one last thing I'll say about that is I think Cowboys fans might have a different opinion on the best corner. Just saying.
He looks good, bro.
Let's
get right into that game.
Next up, we have Seattle, San Francisco. Obviously, Trey Lance went down with a season-ending injury, which sucks. I was excited to see Trey Lance this year. He really hasn't had the opportunity to show himself. He played a game in a hurricane. He started 2 games last year, and then he's full of 3 full games in the past 3 years. It's sad, but hopefully he comes back. Yeah. So
he's had his senior year.
He's had his senior year. He had the redshirt year. But I guess redshirt year, I'll call it rookie season. And then this year, obviously. So, I mean, it's tough. But it's weird when you put a backup QB and people probably feel better about your Super Bowl chances for that year. Which is fair because.
Who does? I'm sorry, that's terrible.
You don't think they have a better Super Bowl chance?
No, definitely not.
I think they do for the simple fact that Trey Lance, it was always going to be a developing year. I still think they're a playoff team either way, but it was always going to be a developing year for Trey Lance. So now that you have someone who has brought the team to Super Bowl before, Trey Lance hasn't been in a playoff game before. The player that's brought to Super Bowl, not saying that they're going to make the Super Bowl, but it gives them that veteran experience. And I mean, they were, a drop pick away from making it last year,
Mm-hmm.
So
they won't make the playoffs this year.
You're saying the San Francisco 49ers will not make the playoffs this year.
I said that at the beginning of the year with Trey Lance, and I'm saying it right now with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo's nothing.
I mean, my take on it. Let me take that into perspective, Jimmy Garoppolo has shown, he could lead a team to the Super Bowl, so that's why I still have them making the
Yeah,
playoffs.
he didn't though. I really don't like that comment. He didn't
Why?
lead the team to the Super Bowl.
Well,
He's
he
the
helps.
quarterback on the
he-
team. I get that. I get that he's the
He did his
quarterback on the
job.
team. But let's be honest, that defense carried them to the Super
Oh
Bowl.
yeah, but he
He
was a
did.
quarterback that did his job but understood what his role was.
For sure. No, he was a role player. But let's be
Yeah.
honest, he was a game manager. That's all he was, and that's
Yeah,
what he was
but-
last year in the playoffs. Just get the ball to Debo. It didn't matter.
But my take on Zach, and I think that we're on the same page here, Zach. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's that Jimmy Garoppolo is that guy that will take that step back to be the role player, to not go out of their way. And the 49ers defense themselves can, do what they did that year. It's simply go, okay, Jimmy, don't make too many mistakes and slowly manipulate the game in our control as far as ball time's considered, and let our defense manipulate their offense. And that's what I think the 49ers can do this year with Jimmy Garoppolo again. Honestly,
I completely get what you're saying there, but to that point is their defense is not anywhere near as good as it was that Super Bowl run. Nowhere.
It's not bad.
It's bad.
it's okay.
I know.
It's not
I know.
bad.
Stat wise, it looks decent, but like, look at their DBs.
I mean,
You have-
to be fair, they have not had a challenge yet. They have not had a
They
challenge.
haven't.
No, yeah, they haven't. Yeah,
but
yeah.
their DBs look terrible. I guess, of course, that's on paper. They have Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, and Eric Armstead who are game wreckers. But besides that, Jimmy Ward's a top 100 player, I guess, but they're not good. Like defensive wise, they have their star, and it reminds me of the Colts defense a little bit, where they have their stars and then just role players.
This role, yeah.
But like as far as like that Super Bowl run, they had DeForest Buckner. I'm pretty sure they had Sherman, who was still playing at a decently high level. I think they had Young, Tart, and Ward. Like I don't necessarily think they're going to be. Actually, not at that. I don't think they make the playoffs. I truly don't.
Time out real quick. This is kind of off topic for NFL, but Ime Udoka of the Celtics is facing a possible suspension from the NBA. Don't know what it's for or how long. It's a significant suspension.
Did they
Okay.
cheat?
Had to have.
I don't know, but that is definitely going to be interesting to say the least. But
Let me
also-
find out they cheated against the Heat or something. I mean, it's
Oh.
hard to cheat in basketball, but I'd love to hear it just to have an excuse, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. but you know what? I'm hoping that we can have an NBA related thing sometime later this week, so we can talk more about that.
I'm more than
when we-
down for that.
when we
Yeah, for sure.
go for that. But let's get back to football, right?
Okay, one point I just wanted to make as well for the 49ers. I think I listened to Shannon Sharp say this, and I think he had a great point. Something is wrong with these physical trainers that they're doing with their players, because the amount of injuries that the 49ers have occurred over the last 5 years is ridiculous. And like their running back core can never stay healthy for some reason. Like I take to Shannon's point, that has to be something with like the training policy or whatever they're
Yeah.
putting in their food or something. Like they got to change something there. It's weird. It really is.
Oh, one more thing about the Niners. Sorry, Zach. The one thing they can do at a very high level is stop the run. They could completely take the run out of a game. I'm not completely understanding how they do it, but they do it every single week. Montgomery averaged like 1.2 a carry in a monsoon, but still, you'd think in a monsoon it'd be easier for the runners. You know what I mean? Instead of the passing the ball and stuff, you think it'd be a lot of runs, a lot of yards. And then this week they completely took Rashad Penny out of the game, which I think is a great running back. But
Yeah.
that's one thing I will not shit on the 49ers for, is they're very good at run stopping.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right. Next up, we have an upset, I'd say, for sure. Cincinnati's 0-2, and they lost to the Dallas Cowboys without Dak Prescott. The Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys. So,
So was Zach.
yeah, what's up?
Who called it? Tell me.
Who called? I don't think you picked the Cowboys to win this game, did you?
No, I didn't.
No,
But
he's talking about Cincy being ass.
who called it?
It's 2 weeks. They'll be fine.
I don't think they will.
I think they
I
will.
think I called it. I think I called it perfectly. I said they weren't going to make the playoffs. You guys looked at me like I was crazy. They look. Don't get me wrong. I didn't think they looked this bad, but they look bad. I thought they were a 1-year wonder, and it's looking like I'm crazy right on that. That game was very boring as well. To be completely honest, like it was boring. You're expecting to watch the Bengals from last year and 500 passing yards and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both running bombs, but it just looks different. To be honest, it might be a thing like how Danny said with the Rams. They got to the Super Bowl and they're thinking they're just going to blow by these teams.
Yep.
They go out there and they get their ass kicked, quite honestly. And 2 weeks in a row against teams that they should not be worse than. So I don't know what their future is. I'm hoping they turn it around because they're a fun team to watch, but they look bad. And another thing I want to say I was right on. You want to say their O-line got upgraded?
It was up.
Yeah.
It got upgraded.
Well, I don't know. Leo Collins was probably
Yes.
the only upgrade I thought they had to upgrade on.
Yeah.
Like, besides that, Jonah Williams looks terrible.
Terrible.
Ted Karras looks terrible. Alex Kappa looks which is exactly what I said. Like, they're just a bad O-line. They cannot protect Joe Burrow regardless. And Joe Burrow's feeling that pressure and throwing bad balls. Like, they look like a bad team. If you take their offense out of that team, they're a bad team. And they completely got their offense taken out the last 2 games by a team that does not have a great defense in the Cowboys and a team that does have a great defense in the Steelers. But Cowboys aren't great. They let Tom Brady, who's playing very lackluster, drop 19 points, which who knows, that could be credit to the Cowboys defense. But I'm just saying, like, they don't have the flashy players. You get what I'm saying? They have Micah Parsons, but like they should be scoring way more than that on the Cowboys.
I mean, to be fair to their O-line, they did play TJ Watt week 1 and Micah Parsons week 2. So definitely have gone
That's
against
one
some
player.
star guys.
To the Steelers, they have multiple players. I'm not hating on that. Like, that's understandable. Hayward, Highsmith, Watt, like, it's amazing. But Cowboys, you can't stop one player. You can't stop one.
Is DeMarcus Lawrence playing?
He is, but he's not playing great. He seems like more of just a block eater at this point. Like, I'm not calling him bad. I'm not. But, like, Micah Parsons is levels ahead of him. And you take that one player out of the game. Like, that's a problem. You know going into that game, Micah Parsons is what he is. And you can't stop him. That's ridiculous.
The guy team can stop no one.
If you put 2 guys on him, you'll stop him.
I mean, my problem with the Bengals game, it's like Van right now is right, and the reason why I kind of disagree with what you said about it not being a big deal is because the Dallas Cowboys didn't have Dak Prescott. What the hell are you doing losing to them? You're playing against Cooper Rush.
Played better than him, to be completely honest.
But it's Cooper Rush. The level between Cooper Rush and Joe Burrow is so big. Burrow's got to step up in that game and do what he did last year almost every game and show like he's a top 5 quarterback. And the last 2 weeks I haven't seen that. And I expected to see Joe Burrow, come motivated because, you did make the Super Bowl, but you lost, right? Second place is first to lose. That's like the mindset they should all have right now. But instead, it looks like they're just content with being the guys that said, hey, at least we made it last year for the first time in forever, right? At least we brought some hope for a year. Now let's just, relax and think, hey, bombs away, and think that no team's going to adjust. No defensive coordinator is going to spend countless hours on our film and figure out how to stop us. It just seems like they're trying to run the same thing. And credit to you, Van, like you said, their offensive line is horrendous right now. Joe Burrow was supposed to get an upgraded offensive line this year, and he's on pace to get sacked more times than he did last year. It's sick. So.
All right.
Zach, are you ever going to talk about any games? Or are you just the host?
I have talked about the games.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I have.
You touched on it for like 2 seconds. I want to hear your point on the game.
Well, I talked about Cincy. I said that, that Micah Parsons is a game wrecker. He's been a game wrecker. He went ahead and how many sacks did he have? Did he have 2 sacks this week again?
I'm not sure.
2 sacks? I think he had 2 sacks again. He's leading league sacks right now. And, Joe Burrow, he's got to step it up, He hasn't looked his best. I also need to see a little bit more from the receiving core. I think that they have not been as dominant as they should be as well. So overall, the defense has been fine, and they've kind of made the comebacks when needed to, but they just haven't really finished on the games. They did make a comeback against Pittsburgh, tied up going to overtime. They should have won that game, point blank period. They should have won that game, but obviously the special teams units did not perform. And even last week, they did tie the game up, got the 2-point conversion to tie the game up, and then the defense allowed the field goal. Obviously, they got to be better early in the game, but you have seen a bit of the fight from them in the second half of these games.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I'm sorry. When I went on Twitter to see what's up with the Ime Udoka thing, and this is nice. Ime Udoka fan account. I did nothing wrong, but bro, Bengals look bad. Bengals look bad.
Yeah. Well, next we do have Denver, Houston. This was a boring one. I really don't have too much to say on Denver and Houston, but Houston is going to be a competitive team this year. they're
Mhm.
going to be. In Denver, I mean, Nathaniel Hackett has not looked good so far, but this is his first year as a head coach. I will give him more than 2 games to try to turn it around. But at the same time, I mean, Denver shoot themselves in the foot so far this season. They should have beaten Seattle, and they did beat Houston, but should have been by more. I do think Denver is going to get better as the season goes on, just with more experience with the head coach, or at least I would hope. But I mean, Houston's going to be a competitive team this year. And I mean, like I said, they just got to fix the coaching issues. That's really the only thing holding back Denver right now.
Yeah,
My
I-
thing on
Oh, you go ahead.
sorry.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
me?
You go
All
ahead.
right. I just want to say my thing on this game is especially, and I think everyone needs to take notice to this. I think the Broncos are showing that they're the worst team in the division, and it sucks to say it, but I'm pretty sure they are. The first 2 weeks should have been blowouts. Not only did you lose to Seattle when you took their quarterback and paid him millions and he didn't show up, but now you play against a team like the Texans that for some reason people are thinking like they're supposed to be an above average team. I think they may be average, if not below average. They're supposed to blow that team out. They're supposed to come out and blow them out and show everyone that week one was a week one fluke. Instead, it almost looked like they were about to start 0-2 against the two worst teams in the league, which is like, in my opinion, they're the two worst, Seattle and Houston. And you barely win that game. That showed to me that right now they're the worst in the division. That's what I took from this game.
Well, to touch on that, my thoughts on this game is, yeah, Nathaniel Hackett looks bad, and I also think it didn't help that they didn't play Russell Wilson at all, a single snap in the preseason. It's a new system, completely new. Everything's new, completely new O-line, completely new receiver group, completely new head coach, new system, new field. Didn't get acclimated with any of that. It didn't seem like you can't put a guy in practice and expect them just to go out week one and just be Russell Wilson. So
Not just week one. In Seattle, when they're
Seattle.
all going at him, like they were
We
booing
talked,
him.
here's the thing, we talked about that. The sound difference is different. I'm telling you right now, he's never faced that roar of the 12th man just screaming at him.
Especially with little extra for him.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. But I'm not going to blame it all on Russell Wilson yet, but I'm blaming it more on Nathaniel Hackett. He looks unprepared. To Houston's credit, they're exactly what it's kind of like a Falcons thing. We thought they were going to be that team that's not going to get a lot of wins, but they're going to compete. They're not going to go over there and just sit down and let you run them over because on paper they're the worst roster in the league. No, they're going to try to compete with you. They're going to try to get a dub. And I think the Broncos have been walking into these games the last 2 weeks thinking they're just going to get slaughter dubs, and they're not. They look like bad. They look like a bottom 10 team, and for sure the worst team in that division. But I'm not going to blame it on Russell Wilson yet. He's not completely there yet. It's a new system, new everything. You can't do that. I would blame more. It's more the coaching to me. But Nathaniel Hackett, I know it's only 2 games, but I just based off those 2 games, how bad they were, I can't see him doing 2 seasons, bro. It's bad. It's that bad. He looks bad. It looks like the red zone play calls are horrendous. And then not only that, how are you scoring 16 on the Texans?
Yep.
How much did the Colts score on the Texans week 1?
20.
Still, that just shows you right there. The Colts are terrible and they dropped
The
20.
Colts are dog shit. Yeah.
I already got the Bryce Young Photoshop in my phone. So.
You're not getting a top 3 pick. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. They'll win games. They're going to win.
No, they will
That's
for
besides
sure.
the point.
They do that every year. They suck early and then they blow up.
But anyhow, we had Vegas losing in it was overtime, right? It was overtime to Arizona. And I mean, Vegas has not looked good themselves, if we're being honest. I mean, they are 0-2. And I'm saying that, in fact, you guys are calling the Broncos worse than AC West. Vegas has not been impressive.
No, don't do that.
They have not been impressive at all. I mean, these were 2 games they honestly should have won. This game, they had a chance to beat the Chargers. I'm not going to say they should have beat the Chargers. But, I mean, the offense has not been what they should be, right? With Derek Carr at QB, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. They should be putting up a lot of points, and they just aren't. The defense hasn't been very impressive. Maybe it's Josh McDaniels' thing. Maybe it's Josh McDaniels' thing as a head coach. But I just not been impressed with the Raiders so far.
We'll say about this. What I have to say about the Raiders is don't sleep on them.
Yeah.
I don't care. I know they're 0-2. They barely lost to the Chargers. That shows something, okay? The Chiefs barely lost to the Chiefs barely beat and they shouldn't have beat the Chargers. That's a top team in the league. That's a top 10 team, top 7 team in the league, and they barely lost to them. And then the Cardinals, I think what happened with that game is they thought they had it in the bag early, and a lot of things went against them. A lot of things went Arizona's way. Do not sleep on the Raiders. Do not.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anything of these last two games. I think the Raiders will still come out, and I think they'll still be a wild card playoff team. Like, do not sleep on the Raiders. I know these two they're 0-2 against one decent team and one very good team, but they've been in it. They gave up early on the Cardinals game thinking they had a dub. That was a mistake. And then the other game they just lost because, let's be honest, the Chargers are the better team.
Yeah.
But
And
don't sleep on them.
I was going to pick up on that too about what Zach's saying. I think it's very, it's very deceiving to look at the two records of Broncos and Raiders and go, okay, well, clearly that's why the Raiders are the worst in the division. The two teams that the Raiders have played so far and the two teams that the Broncos have played so far are on different scales of as far as talent, quarterback experience, the whole nine. You can go from roster spot to roster spot. The two teams that the Raiders have played against are 10 times better than the two teams that the Broncos have played against. Not only are they never supposed to win against the Chargers, but the Cardinals are not a team to be slept on. Even though James Conner, for some reason, we'll talk about him later, was just non-existent towards the end of the game.
We'll talk about him now. We're talking about the game now.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, we can talk about him now, I guess. Yeah. Sorry.
We completely forgot about the Cardinals.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the Cardinals. But against a team that had no James Conner at the time either, the Cardinals are still a team to respect, especially when they get D-Hop back. But when you try to compare the, Broncos,
What we're talking about right now.
What happened?
We're talking about their team right now, though. You said especially to get Diop back, but
no. But I'm saying, But I'm saying they're a team that's respected enough that's better than the Texans or better than Seattle, right? So that's why I have to say that the Broncos to me right now have shown that they're the worst in the division. Raiders, on the other hand, like Van's point, don't sleep on them because they have the talent. You mentioned Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. Those are cats that at any point in any game can take over and do great. Hunter Renfrow did sell this game though. That's one point I will take from that multiple times. Like, he really sold the game for them, in my opinion.
And it's weird because he's usually the one saving the game for them.
Exactly.
So it was a little off key, but like 100% Raiders, don't sleep on them.
Yep.
They will be back. They will be playing good every week. Derek Carr had a fluke week against the Chargers, 3 picks, very bad. You could credit the Chargers defense, or you can just credit Derek Carr just having a bad game. It happens, but don't sleep on them. They could easily become second in the division. They could easily be a wild card team. Do not think – don't look at the records, say 0-2 and be like, yo, this team's bad. They're not. They're just point-blank period that you're wrong if you say that. They're not a bad team.
Also, just person not the biggest fan of Arizona. Arizona should not have won this game. Credit to them. And I mean, Kyler Murray played great. In the second half, he kind of forced a comeback. You saw how many yards that guy ran for on that 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
in the game. Like he ran for 80 plus yards. It's kind of insane. But I mean, it was. I didn't watch too much of the game. That's the game I was kind of listening on the Red Zone when I was driving. But I mean, overall, the two teams, just to me, have not been impressive. They'll be like mediocre teams in my opinion, like about the 8-9 win teams this range. But I'm just not too impressed with either of these teams.
I could agree with you on that. For the Cardinals wise, I think there'll be 8-9 wins, maybe a wild card fight with the Lions, those types of teams, the Vikings. But no, I know the AFC is very talented, but if you're telling me to pick one team that has a better chance of making the playoffs, just based off the team, I'm picking Raiders over Cardinals all day.
Well, yeah, they got a lot more talent.
All right.
Next up, Sunday Night Football matchup. We had the Packers play Chicago, and I really don't think we have much to say. Green Bay's a better team, and Aaron Rodgers owns Chicago.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers didn't even play great. That's what I want to touch on. Like, he didn't even play great, but they still just blew him out. Chicago's the team. Thank you for all the Chicago fans getting overhyped. We knew what they were. They're not great. They have pieces, but they still need to build. They're in that rebuild phase. They'll get there. But let's just be honest. They're going to be a bottom 5 team still.
Yeah, is that all we got to say for this game?
No, yeah, I don't have any takes besides, Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. It's the same thing over and over again. The Bears just suck right now. I mean, David Montgomery showed some, light in the tunnel for how good of a running back he is. But besides that, Herbert had one great run I've seen. But Aaron Rodgers runs the Bears easily. It's just that's the simple take from that.
And until they get a team around Justin Fields or whatever quarterback they're going to go with, they need to rebuild quick because
yep.
I don't see Aaron Rodgers going anywhere.
Minnesota's coming out of nowhere too now.
Yeah, I,
Well,
I,
we'll
I
talk
feel like
about this.
I don't feel like there's much upside for the Minnesota right now because as far as Kirk Cousins, you know what you're getting from him. Like,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that. I'm certain like 2 games, but like the Bears are going to be the 4th in that division. The Lions are making strides. That's what I would have said instead of the Vikings. But they better rebuild fast because they're going to lose their chance.
Yeah, and I will say, well, one positive I'll say about Chicago because we're kind of shit on them right now. But Jalen Johnson's a stud. We said this when we previewed them. Jalen Johnson's a stud. That's all I'll say.
Who?
Jalen Johnson.
Oh,
Corner.
yeah, we know this. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I just wanted to reemphasize that because he started off the season on fire so far.
Yeah, no, he's a beast. Jaquan Briscoe looks pretty solid too.
He's been solid, yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Tennessee at Buffalo. Question: is Derrick Henry washed?
That's why I traded him.
I think to a point. As far as I feel like he's definitely more ginger when running. I feel like he's taking those leg hits and he's trying to just go down with them instead of getting injured like last year. But as far as how the team is, you're down, you got to run with Derrick Henry.
Yep.
That's what you have. They restructured his contract. He won't be there in the next few years. I know he won't be, just based on how the contract is. You need to use him. Titans have to know that they're not a great team. They can't really pass the ball. They have Robert Woods, Treylon Burks is a bright spot, but they need to run the ball more. That's why I traded for him. But
They
I
also
think
have Ryan Tannehill at QB.
yeah, I think you just need to run the ball more. And I don't think the Titans will be. I mean, it's very obvious the Titans probably won't win that division. Like yeah, but it's just it's so weird because #1 team in AFC last year, and they didn't really lose much, and they're just terrible. So it's something you got to take game by game. But let's be honest, they were playing the #1 team in football. They kind of gave up. They looked like they were playing pretty solid the first few drives. It was 7-7. They were fighting, stopping the Bills on 4th down. Once the Bills got that 2-touchdown lead, they just gave up. Let's just be honest. Tannehill was throwing to the wrong team. They stopped running the ball because Derrick Henry was getting A-gap 24/7 with Milano and Edmonds just completely blitzing because they know that's all they could do. They need to find a way to run the ball because that's basically the only way they can win games this year.
You just said they didn't really lose much. They lost A.J. Brown, and they lost Harold Landry for the year. Those are 2 very big losses.
I like Burks.
You could like Burks, but he ain't no A.J. Brown.
Not yet.
He ain't no A.J. Brown.
Not yet.
And also,
Not
I mean, it's. I think we kind of all, in a sense, thought Derrick Henry might physically take a step back. Maybe not so much of production, just just how he looks. But I mean, it's looked pretty bad his first 2 games. But he's always been someone who started off the season kind of slow. So we'll see if he can go ahead and step it up. But I mean, if he doesn't, then the Titans are in world trouble. Because Tannehill is not going to lead your team very far, especially with this receiving core.
No, yeah,
So-
it is they did play against the best defense in the league. Let's not get that wrong, but
Yeah.
I feel like an injury for anybody. Like I personally have experience with injuries before, and I understand like your thought process looking when you run is completely different. Like Henry wasn't, even thinking the slightest about an injury when he first, pre-injury I'm talking about. He was just talking about running over kids. Like he didn't give a care in the world. Now when you see him run, now it's almost as if he hesitates to hit the hole because
he's accepting it.
And he's
Like,
exactly.
He's usually the one pushing through people. Yeah. I think that's something. I think that's something that's mindset though, and I think that's something could be fixed. That's why I still believe in Derrick Henry. But as far as and one more thing I want to talk about in this game: if you ever are playing Stephon Diggs in fantasy and Gabriel Davis is out, just don't look at your phone. It's probably the best thing to do. You lost.
That's why I traded for him.
They're just gonna force feed him.
All right, and then we got one more game left, and we had Philadelphia beating up Minnesota. And I gotta say this: if you had Philadelphia, might be the best team in the NFC. They might be.
Who? Philadelphia?
Philadelphia.
Yeah,
They might be the best
In the
team.
NFC, they might be because that shit's kind of weak.
I had them
It
the 3
is, but I mean, Philadelphia looks really good. Now, I'm not going to be someone who hops on Jalen Hurts all the way right now, and I'm someone who's been very critical of Jalen Hurts in the past, but he's looked pretty good so far. And let's see if he can keep this up. He might be, I'm not going to say he's going to be as good like Josh Allen like that, but you know how Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs, and all of a sudden he became a not so great QB to a very good QB? I wonder if AJ Brown's going to have the same effect on Jalen Hurts. You know, I'm someone who I believe AJ Brown, if he's not top 10, borderline top 10 receiver in the NFL. And I mean, the offense just looks really good. You also have Devontae Smith there. You have Dallas Goddard. Miles Sanders just look decent. Yeah, you got Watkins. The O line's good. The defense is absolutely stacked. You know, I mean, this is a very good football team. And Nick Sirianni, a lot of people kind of make jokes about him when he was hired because of his first press conference, but that guy can coach. He is a great coach who built a perfect offense around Hurts. And I've been very impressed with Philly so far. Now, honestly, keep it up. You know, they play Minnesota this week, and they beat Detroit, who's looked promising, but just got to keep it up. And their schedule is a cake walk.
Yeah,
like I'm not even exaggerating when I say that they could be 17. And they won't be 17. I'll say that, but their schedule sets it up that like I wouldn't even really be shocked in a sense.
My takeaways from this game is the Eagle. I agree with you. The Eagles might be the best team in the NFC, just because. Let's be honest, the NFC is very weak, but they also look very good, and their schedule is a cakewalk. But the three players I took out of this game that I like really loved. Darius Slay, obviously, you don't need to talk about him. We know what he was, and he proved it. Cam Dantzler from the Vikings. He also had a very good game. He's being slept on, and he had like everything, tackling, coverage. He was very good. And then Avonte Maddox, who was a player that is your guy, Zach. I know you like him, but those are the bright spots of the game. But as far as the Vikings game plan, it kind of just seems like they were trying to go into that game and do what they did week one, which is not going to happen. You have to realize you go into week one and your plan is force feed Jefferson before the play starts and know where the ball is going. You can't do that. You can't. Kirk Cousins knew where the ball was going before the play started. Slay knew what he was doing. He was sitting on it every time. Like the Packers couldn't have known that. It's the week one. You never know what's going to happen. But the Eagles have that tape. They know what you want to do. And it just seems like O'Connell didn't really adjust to that, didn't expect that. And the Eagles were literally playing defense like it was Madden. They knew what was going to happen. They read the coverages. They read the formations. They knew what was going to happen and completely shut down what everybody thought was a top 10 offense like it was nothing. So I think it was more to do with O'Connell definitely not expecting this and not making the adjustments he needs to make. But Kirk Cousins, let's be honest, just had a terrible game. And that's what it comes down to. He made up his mind before every throw. He knew where it was going. And you can't do that as an NFL quarterback. And it's something that Kirk Cousins usually we don't see have a problem with, but he did it this game.
Well, here's my thing. I think this week the Eagles showed that they probably have the best duo corners in the league and on top 3 defense, in my opinion. The reason why I say this is because when you look at Darius Slade, James Bradbury, Gardner Johnson, Avonte Maddox, like they're just stacked at the DBs. And then look at your D line, you got a veteran Fletcher Cox and Brendan Graham. Like the defense was insane. Jordan Davis, like
Hassan Reddick, Hargrave.
Like their defense is stacked, and I feel like people have kind of slept on them because it is the Eagles. Like we all never taken them really serious. Even the Nick Foles year, we didn't really take them serious. But this year in particular, I feel like we really discredited like their defense entirely, and I feel like they went out there and they had something to prove, and they proved it. Like I don't care if you have Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, like we have guys that are going to compete with your best receivers, and you're not going to just run or throw all over us. You're going to have to win a methodical game, and it's going to be a close, tight game. And if you aren't good enough to play a game like that, we're going to blow you out, which is exactly what they do with the Vikings. Vikings are fantastic at going downfield and trying to have these shootout games and show off for the audience. The Eagles played smart football, and they're like, you're not going to beat us deep. You're going to have to take the one-on-one matchups, and we trust our guys to win those. And Darius Slade definitely won that matchup. And now I think everyone's realizing like the Eagles are top contender. And like I said, I had the Eagles as my 3 seed this year. Right now they're probably the 2 or 1 seed in the NFC. So
I think we all had the Eagles winning the division, but they look great.
Yeah, I think the main question always with the Eagles, I mean, I credit the Eagles defense when we were doing our previews because they are stacked, right? But the big question with the Eagles has always been Jalen Hurts. Yeah. And so far, he's looked pretty good. And let's just see if he can be consistent and keep it up, Because if he can, I mean, the sky's the limit for this Eagles team. It really is. Because they got so much talent on that team. And Darius Slay has always been the most underrated corners in the NFL. And I mean, I'm happy he was able to do something like that on the big stage in prime time. Now, can we talk though for a second? Does Kirk Cousins have some problem seeing in the dark? Because anytime this man's on a primetime game, this man does not show up.
Well, I feel like it's just like I don't think it has anything to do with the prime time. I just feel like he's starting to like.
Has he won a primetime game yet?
I don't know, Zach. I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan, but
No, but that was like a big time stat that he has not won a primetime game, at least some time ago.
well, I haven't heard about it. But all I know is I could watch these plays and see that Kirk Cousins was making his mind up before the ball was snapped. You can't do that, like especially on a good team. You want to play the Bears or the Seahawks or Texans. You might be able to do that. Probably not, but you might be able to. But you can't do that, especially after this week of game film that a good team can watch. They did it this week, and it showed that they were not ready for this game.
Yeah. All right. So that is the last game, week 2. Now we got to go with some predictions. We're not going to go too far in depth with the predictions, also because we have been running a little long. But we got to get some predictions for week 3. So let's start off with Thursday Night Football tomorrow night. Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Joe Hayden is, I think, due something at halftime for his retirement. Congrats to a good career for him. But I got Pittsburgh winning this one. I'm going with the veteran head coach and the team with the better defense.
Yeah, I have Pittsburgh as well. What it comes down to is the Browns usually own the Steelers every year. That's usually what it is. It's usually a circle in that division of teams beating each other, and it's usually the Browns over the Steelers. But Brissett can't do what Mayfield did. Like, he can't push the ball downfield. So I'm going Steelers. I'm going with the head coaching. I'm going with the defense. That's just going to completely shut them down. They're going to box 10 Chubb. Let's just be honest. That's what they're going to do, box 9 Chubb. Steelers are going to win this game.
I actually have the Cleveland Browns winning the game. I really do. I think, like I said earlier, the Browns know their identity and they understand the game plan that they have to go into. And I understand that people are going to throw, 10 in the box against like Nick Chubb. But I don't think that stops this offensive line and this type of player. The dynamic duo of Hunt and Chubb is ridiculous. And I feel like a guy, Amari Cooper, is good enough to compensate for, that lack of passing game. And I think Jacoby Brissett understands, just like that Jimmy Garoppolo role of like, hey, don't do more than when I am needed. Don't go over the head. Don't turn the ball over and let my running backs eat. So I got the Browns winning.
All right, next up, Houston at Chicago. I got Houston Texans getting their first win of the season.
Oh.
I just think they're the better team. I think that their defense is going to be able to stop Justin Fields, and I think Davis Mills is going to have a nice game. Maybe not Brandon Cooks. I think Jalen Johnson might shadow him, have a good game against him. But I like Houston.
Danny, go ahead.
I have the Bears. I think the Bears are gonna win this game. It's gonna be a shitter fest in my opinion, but I definitely think the Bears are gonna come out on top.
I disagree. I don't think it's going to be a shitter fest. I really do think it's going to be the clash of the shitters, to where they're going to be scoring points on each other. But I at the end, I chose the Bears. I think the Bears are just a little bit better than the Texans on paper. Davis Mills is playing okay, I guess, but he's not going to win football games. I don't feel like. But I would not be. Of course, you're not going to be shocked if the Texans win this shit. But I have the Bears winning this game.
All right, we got 2 disappointing teams so far, 2-2 teams. You got Vegas traveling to Tennessee. Who goes ahead and gets their first win of the season?
Vegas.
Yeah.
Tennessee looks grade A bad, and we already talked about Vegas. I'm not sleeping on them yet. They're going to start getting some wins.
I got Vegas as well.
Yeah, I got Vegas as well.
Yeah. Next up, you got Kansas City traveling to Indianapolis. Kansas City by 50.
Kansas City. I don't think it's going to be by 50. I feel like this is the game where they finally get a little bit of clicking on offense with the Colts, but no, Kansas City will definitely win.
I actually have the Kansas City Chiefs.
In all honesty, this is the type of game the Colts just somehow wins. I feel like
it is for sure. That's what I wrote down. Like, this will be the game where they just, Matt Ryan's back in MVP form. But, like, I don't think you guys win regardless.
Buffalo at Miami.
Buffalo. I need to see more from Tua. As much as I want to say Miami, I'll be at the game and I'll be rooting for him. And I'll probably have him in my money picks because I'm not fake. But I'm going to go Buffalo. It's the safest pick. They're the best team in football. regardless of who they're playing, I'm picking Buffalo to win any game right now.
Come on, fam. I forced you to change your pick last week. Do it again. Come on.
Maybe at the end. Ask me at the end.
I got Buffalo as well. It pains me to say it, but like I said, I'm hard on the teams that I support, and I just don't think they're good enough to beat the Bills right now. I really don't.
What, so you think Buffalo's going to 17? No? Come on.
They
Go with
could,
the upset,
bro.
and I'm not going to
on some real shit. They could.
They won't go 17. No. They just probably won't. But I'm going Buffalo. Buffalo's going to beat Miami. But I'm interested to see how close the game is, because it'll be kind of a test to see where Miami's at. Because I could see this be a blowout. I could see it being a close game because it's Buffalo. It'd be interesting to see. Detroit at Minnesota.
Whoo.
This will be a fun one.
Give me Detroit. Detroit's going to go in there and get a dub. They did it last year. They got their first dub, I'm pretty sure, against them. And Detroit's just playing better right now. If the Vikings come out and play like they did last week, they're not going to have a chance against them. I do feel like it's going to be a shootout. I do feel like if you have any Lions or Vikings players, you should start them in fantasy. But I'm going to take the Lions here by 4.
I got the Vikings winning. Actually, I think they're gonna win by 10 points. I think the Vikings, they're pissed off what just happened to them, so they're gonna come out and they're gonna kill the Lions. So
I got Detroit. I got Amon Ra going crazy again against that Vikings secondary. And yeah, I think Detroit wins this one.
All right.
We got Baltimore traveling to New England. Does Baltimore lose to back-to-back AFC East teams?
You know
Actually,
what?
this would be 3 straight AFC East teams, I think.
They play 4 straight AFC teams. They play all of them. Yeah, they play Jets, Dolphins, Dolphins, Patriots, Bills. First 4 weeks. But no, I have Ravens. The Patriots defense will slow a team down. Not this team. I don't think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be quite a blowout. And it's rare to say because Belichick doesn't usually get blown out. But I'm taking the Ravens by a large sum of points.
I'm going Ravens in the close one.
yeah, I'm gonna take Ravens as well.
All right. Next up, we got the winless Cincinnati Bengals possibly going to be able to get their first win of the season against the Joe Flacco-led New York Jets. What you guys got?
This one's tough because Mike White beat the Bengals last year. It might be a matchup thing. I'm going with the Jets. I'm going with the Jets to go out there and beat Cincinnati yet again. And think about it. Bengals were on their run last year and they lost to them. Salah might just have their number. So I'm going with the Jets.
Can you give me a Jets chant?
No.
No, you better not. I'm gonna go with the Bengals. I think they finally get their first win, and this is the first of many in a row. I think the next 6 games. This is the start of the first one. They win the next 6 games in a row.
Who do they play? Whoa.
The next six games they will win.
Week 4 they play the Dolphins, buddy.
I think they beat us. I'm sorry. I think they do.
All right, we'll clip that right there. We'll talk about it. Anyways, next up.
You didn't say your pick.
I thought I said Cincy. Cincy is my pick.
Well, now you did.
I thought I said that at the beginning. But I'll say my pick to be in this one. We got Philadelphia playing Washington. This is Carson Wentz's first time playing Philly, but this game is going to be in Washington, so he's not going to be traveling to Philly. And I got Philly. Like I said, they legit could go 17-0, just looking schedule-wise. And they're going to be Washington. Washington's going to go 0-3. And that's going to help the Colts second round pick, baby.
I'm going Washington.
I
I know what I just said about the Eagles. It's one of those games where I just have a weird feeling that Commanders are going to win that game. I don't know why. I'm not saying because Carson Wentz wants his revenge. No. That guy's not going to change the outcome of the game. I feel like Washington's going to win this game. It feels like a game that Washington will win.
I disagree. Obviously, I think it's the Eagles. I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC almost. So.
All right, next up, we got the New Orleans Saints traveling to Carolina, looking to get their first win of the season.
I'm not gonna lie. I want to say Carolina, but I'm not going to. I'm not gonna do it. I already have a sleeper there. I have one sleeper coming up soon. You guys won't expect it, but I don't think I'm gonna pick them. But I'm gonna tell you it's possible. But I'm gonna go with the Saints here. I'm gonna go with the safe pick. Jameis Winston should not have a problem throwing on that team.
Yeah, I got the Saints. I think Mel Thomas is going to go crazy this week.
I got the Saints
Chris
as well. I got the Saints as well.
Is Camille going to be healthy? I think it changes the outcome either way. But
I don't think it does not matter.
All right, next up, why don't I just have feeling that this is going to be the game you're talking about with your upset. Jacksonville at LA
It is.
Chargers.
It is. I don't know why. It just seems like because the Bills lost to the Jaguars last year on some bullshit, and then the Chargers lost to who did they lose to last year? Like Texans that were very bad. It just feels like one of those games. I'm going with the Chargers. But
Oh, so you're going with draw?
no. I said right back then when I said it, I said I'm still going to go with the safe team, but I would not be surprised if the Jaguars win this game.
You can't claim the Jaguars if they win.
Who's claiming the Jaguars here, bro?
I'm just saying you can't claim that you called it if you're not going to pick them.
Well, I'm not going to claim I called it. I'm just going to claim I wouldn't be surprised if they do win. So I'm going with the Chargers.
I got the Rams. So Chargers. Seltzer. I said Rams. My brain fart. I got the Chargers.
You know what? Because I'm salty from last week, I'm just hoping that Jacksonville's actually a decent team. I'm going Jacksonville.
Okay. I
Only
like
reason.
that pick, though. Like, I would not be surprised.
Only reason. Next up, because you want to talk about this so much, Danny, we got the Rams traveling to Arizona. And I got the Rams. I'm kind of very sad. I don't think Arizona's that great.
I got the Rams too.
I have Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona?
Well, okay. I think
Arizona
that
versus Rams every year. Every time they play the first time, Arizona kicks their ass.
we'll see if that continues. Next up, we got a very exciting matchup. We got Atlanta traveling to Seattle.
Ooh,
I think it's going to be more exciting than people think. I think it's going to be like a
Oh, it could definitely be an
it's
interesting
going
game.
to be a
We got
Rashad Penny game for sure.
DK Metcalf versus AJ Terrell should be a fun matchup.
It
Yeah.
should. It should.
And I got AJ Terrell winning that matchup because I got Atlanta winning this game, the first win of the season.
Oh,
I got Atlanta winning. I really do. I have Atlanta winning as well.
I'm going to go with Atlanta as well.
Ooh,
I just
sweep there.
Yeah, a little sweep there. I just feel like Gino had his game. Atlanta. I'm just going with Atlanta point. I can't really give you a reason for it. I think Atlanta's going to win the game.
All right. Next up, we got Green Bay traveling to Tampa Bay. I think somebody kind of already might have said something about this game earlier today, but I got Tampa Bay. I will say that I kind of made this prediction before the Mike Evans thing, but I don't think I'm second guessing myself. I think I'm still going with them. I don't know how Chris Godwin is recovering from his hamstring. I don't know if he's still day-to-day, week, whatever. But either way, I'm going with the team that has maybe the best defense in the NFL to slow down Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense.
I'm going with Tampa Bay as well, just for the fact that Tom Brady usually owns Aaron Rodgers in any aspect of the game. But I will say one thing about this game. I'm sick of people hearing, you're picking Buccaneers. They have no receivers. Who the fuck is Aaron Rodgers throwing to these last 2 weeks? Nobody.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going with the Buccaneers. Buccaneers will win this game. Tom Brady owns Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bucks as well. Like you said, Packers just have a shit receiving core. It's worse than the Bucks, even with no Godwin or Evans. So I'm gonna take the Bucks.
Sunday night football. San Francisco is traveling to Mile High to play Denver.
I'm going to be biased because the Dolphins have the 49ers pick. I'm going with Denver.
I got Denver too, actually.
I got Denver as well. Looks like we have a sweep. We know it's tough to play in Denver with the altitude there. And, I mean, I think this is a great opportunity for that offense to kind of start to find a place to click, you know? Cortland Sutton, I think, should have a good game against that secondary. Maybe the run game won't be as good, but I think overall, is Judy going to be all right? Is he going to play this week?
I heard he's day-to-day. I don't know.
Yeah.
As long as he's healthy, I would stick with the Broncos.
All right. And what's the
And
Monday
then-
night game this week? Oh, yeah.
Dallas at New
Ew.
York.
Give me the Cowboys.
Ooh, okay. I got
Brian
the,
DeBall.
Giants fans right now.
I got the Giants.
Brian DeBall and Giants are 3-0.
No,
Yep.
they're not. Cooper
Yeah.
Rush. You know nothing about him, don't you? The ginger maniac.
Who's that guy?
I don't care who that guy is.
Like
Daniel
one
Jones is going to be the quarterback of a 3-0 team. It's crazy.
All right.
All right.
That's it.
So yeah, that is it. That is all of week 3 matchups. I'm sure that my picks are going to be 100% correct this week.
Oh yeah.
They're not. I'll promise you.
Uh,
I'll promise
we'll go ahead and
you.
see.
If it was that easy, we'd be making a lot of money right now.
I mean, well, also if parlays like that were legal, in the state of Florida. But I hope you guys did enjoy this podcast. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you guys go ahead and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, make sure you guys go ahead and leave a 5-star rating and follow the podcast. And with that, we will catch you guys later.
You're not going to ask me to switch?
And figure.
You're not going to ask me to switch, Zach?